All right, everybody, how are we doing today? Welcome back to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Happy opening day! We're recording this on the night of opening day, so I am missing March Madness. And the day this goes live, I would have just finished my broadcast on ESPN. So I'll recap what happened, or maybe recap it. I don't know, but hold on one second, actually. We have the board ready. The legit prep is done. I know it's backwards. This is Iona softball versus Manhattan tomorrow. It would be the day of that the video goes live. So make sure to follow my Instagram so you don't miss the next time I'm doing a broadcast. But today's video, or tonight's video, or today, depending on what time this goes live at, we have an MLB Season 2 preview for you guys here today because honestly, I felt like I had to do Tuesday's video because of how much stuff was going on, but let's just dive right into it. I'm gonna give my season predictions, give you my MVPs. I'm not picking like the standard people. I'm gonna pick some different people that no one would expect, including one of my Cy Youngs having a really bad first start. But yeah, we do pick a long shot for NL Rookie of the Year because I didn't have a good option. So MLB standings. AL East first. In fifth, I have the Red Sox. I don't trust their starting pitching. I don't trust a lot of their team. They don't have a lot of signature pieces. They have a young starter in Basel. They have Rafael Devers, of course. They have Duran, I guess. Masataka Yoshida. But the starting pitching besides Bayo is not that good. And it won't help them enough to elevate their team to another level. So I have Boston in fifth. I think that's a very popular spot. I think these standings are going to be very similar to a lot of people. My AL Central is a little bit different. Of course, I have the team you already know is going to win in first, but a little bit of change in the midfield. In fourth place, I have the Rays in the American League East. Fourth place, Tampa Bay. They've lost too many pieces due to injury or trade that they don't really get back. I'm talking you lose Shane McClanahan for the season. You traded Tyler Glasnow, and then he got an extension, a well-deserved extension. He actually pitched a great opening day game today. You have now lost a lot of pieces. You do get some starters back, Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen, but that's not going to be enough to beat a team like Toronto. That's not going to be enough to be better than a team like the Yankees, Baltimore. It's just not good enough. Tampa Bay, if they had a McClanahan, I'd be more confident, but they don't have McClanahan, so I can't be that confident in them. So I'm going to have the Tampa Bay Rays in fourth place. They just don't have enough. Their offense is pretty meh. Kevin Cash is a great manager, but I just don't have enough confidence in them to go far. Also, a lot of the starters fit Kevin Cash's style of not going deep in the games. It's a very popular theme with Tampa Bay. And in third, I have the Blue Jays. They are banking on a lot of rebounding seasons. I mean, they're banking on rebounds from Vlad. They're banking on rebounds from Bichette, Barrios, Gosman, Kikuchi. There's so many people I can name for this. Better seasons out of the bullpen. Better season overall from everybody on the team. And you can't blame them. The issue is that they didn't do enough in free agency to push them into a place like second. They didn't get a guy like Juan Soto. They didn't get trade for a starter like Corbin Burns. They don't have a lot of or enough of elite players that could get them over the threshold of the Yankees and Baltimore. And I think that's going to hurt them in the long run. So I am going to have Toronto in third. We'll see if they make the playoffs later on. I don't know if they do, but we will see. In second, I have the Bronx Bombers. This one makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, the Yankees are not going to have enough starting pitching to get them over the top. What I mean by that is this. You have pitchers like Carlos Rodon, pitchers like Nestor Cortez. You have Clark Schmidt, I guess. There's totally pieces that I'm missing. I'm going to look like pretty stupid for that. And, of course, Garrett Cole, but he's hurt. Do they have enough elite starters to get them through the first 2 months? I do see a very good possibility of the Yankees trading for Shane Bieber at the deadline. I think that's very possible. You trade Clark Schmidt for Shane Bieber. Done. Easy. But no one's going to make it that easy for the Yankees. And the biggest enemy for that team is going to be themselves and injuries. I think they're going to have an injury problem again, but it's not going to hurt them as much. I'm going to have them in second. And I do have them in the playoffs this season. They're going to be one of my wild card teams. You'll see the order later on in the video. But I do have the Yankees making the playoffs this season as one of my wild cards because first place is Baltimore. Now, I think they're going to be worse record-wise than people think it's going to be. They're not winning 100 games. The sophomore slump has to come, but they made an effort. And that's a good thing. Because I was banking on putting the Yankees first for 90% of the spring, and then they traded for Corbin Burns, and then everything changed. And then Garrett Cole went down, and now Baltimore is my team to win the AL East. Like I said, they're not winning 100 games. They don't have enough good starters to do that. Their bullpen is... I think they lost Felix Bautista, so now they're relying on Yanni or Cano, which isn't the best thing to do, but listen, they didn't really have another direction they could go. They have so many good young pieces. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Cedric Mullins in the outfield. There's so many players I'm missing. Jackson Holiday in the future, which I was actually one of the few people not shocked that he missed the MLB roster because he doesn't have enough experience. They're in a good spot. The big question for them in the long run is that do they take the next step forward? So that's what I'm watching out for. But I have the AL East being Baltimore first, Yankees second, then Toronto, Tampa, and Boston. With Baltimore and the Yankees moving on. In the Central, in last, I have the White Sox, who played a thrilling 1-0 loss today. By the way, these rankings were made on Monday, but I haven't had a chance to make this video yet. The White Sox are in last. They've lost so much. They're only relying on Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert, who I think he just has to get out of Chicago off that White Sox team, and he'd be a good impact player on a lot of teams. Luis Robert. I think he's very solid. He does a lot of things, right? I would take him on the Mets. I just don't know where we would play him. But, yeah, the White Sox, the pitching is awful. That's all that needs to be said. The White Sox are a disaster. Again, for like the second time in the last decade that they'll be undergoing a rebuild again. Or third time. I don't even know how many times it's been now. Too many for the White Sox. They're in last. In fourth, I have Kansas City. They are a team to watch out for in 3 years. They don't have enough good pieces. They have Bobby Witt, but that's about it. They have a couple starters that people like, but I'm not buying it. They're too young of a team and Salvador Perez to be able to really threaten anybody in the AL Central this year. So I'm going to have Kansas City in fourth. In third, I'm going to have Cleveland. I am not banking on a good season from Cleveland. Their offense is so mid that I'm just going to put the team that has more than one good offensive piece in second. And you'll hear why in a minute. This Cleveland team is very interesting. They have guys like Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie. They have another guy I'm forgetting. They have other pieces, of course, of just pitching I'm forgetting about. Clase. They're going to have a battle with the team I have in second. For second. It's not going to matter because the Twins are winning the division. I'll explain why in a minute. But at the end of the day, like, this is going to be a dogfight for no reason. Like, this Cleveland team, their offense is solely focused around, two players then. Between Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez. You can't do that if you really want to contend. You have to really bank on Andres Jimenez doing something. Steven Kwan. They just don't have enough. And I'm banking on a breakout from a couple of players from my second place team, and that's the Detroit Tigers. This is the season where they give their fans hope. And they have a lot of young pieces that can bloom. I just don't know if they do it. Now, let me take a look at the Detroit Tigers roster, because I don't have it pulled up on my phone. And I will explain to you why I'm high on this team. I love some of the pieces in their starting rotation. They added Jack Flaherty. They have experience with Kenta Maeda. But then they have the youth. You talk your Tariq Skubals. You talk about your KC Mize type of players. Those guys are trying to develop, and now having that veteran presence that doesn't force a guy like KC Mize to go out and have to be an ace, or Tariq Skubal, is so useful. It takes the pressure off of them. And that's why I think this is going to be very good in the long run for both starters. I'm more focused on the breakout possibility of Skubal this year. The lefty, he's very solid. I like a lot of things that he does. I don't know what happened to Spencer Turnbull. I'll be honest with you. Let me take a look on that note. I think he's hurt. But I have Spencer Turnbull, I thought was out for the season. Oh, he's on the Phillies. I'm an idiot. All right. Yep, your boy knows what happened with the Tigers. Don't question it. Nope. Next team. Oh, kidding. Offensively, they have Spencer Torkelson, who I think is going to have a breakout. Gio Urshela, bounce back type of season. They have experience in the outfield with players like Mark Canha. Riley Green, I think, is good. I just don't know who they put in left. This team can be so good or so bad that I'm banking on them being good. I'm also banking on a rebound from Javi Baez, unless he wants to swing at clouds or water vapor. I don't know what he wants to swing at. I think he'd rather just swing and miss on a girl in your DMs at this point. But listen, I mean that's also a very big possibility. Oh my God, that's terrible. All right, next team, Twins first. I mean, they have a lot of good pieces. They have the best roster in the division. They have lost pieces, yes. But the Minnesota Twins are not going to be a big threat playoff-wise. I just don't see it. Like, I mean, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Because the Twins, they've lost pieces in the rotation. And they didn't really do much in the offseason to my memory. They have some good pieces. Can Buxton stay healthy? I don't know. They also don't have Jarron Duran, who is my favorite reliever in baseball. They won a game today. They did get an injury to Royce Lewis, who was balling. They have players like Pablo Lopez, who I've been high on for a very long time. I love Pablo Lopez. I think he's an awesome starter for a rotation. He is as good as it can get. But the rest of the rotation's really streaky. You have your Joe Ryans, Chris Paddock, Bailey Ober. I don't even know who else they put. Griffin Jacks, I guess. Offensively, they have Correa, Christian Vasquez, aforementioned Royce Lewis, who got injured, I believe, today. And, of course, you have Byron Buxton, Max Kepler, and company. Manuel Margot in the outfield. They have some solid pieces. They're going to be better than the Tigers and the Guardians. And that everyone else is just bad. We're trying to develop. So I'm going to have Twins first, then the Tigers, then Cleveland, Kansas City, and Chicago. That Tigers pick may be the one to come back to haunt me, because last year I picked the White Sox to win the division. Now I'm projecting them to finish in last. The parity is awesome. In fifth in the American League West, no shocker, I have Oakland. They have Brent Rooker and nothing else. I'm not going to speak much on them. It's one of their last seasons in Oakland. It's sad that their team is so terrible. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Fourth place, I'm going with the Los Angeles Angels. I don't think this is a surprising pick. Either a lot of my picks in this division are not surprising. They have Mike Trout and nothing else. Their offense, today they lost 11-3. They had Mike Trout. That's about it for today's contest. They lost Shohei Ohtani. They don't have a lot of elite pitching. They don't have a lot of elite anything at this point, and they're not in a good situation. So the Angels, I think, are kind of screwed in the long run, but we'll see how it goes. I have them in fourth. Third, I have Seattle. A lot of people are high on Seattle this year. I can't blame them. The issue is that they have two better teams in that division. You have your elite starters like Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, a big breakout candidate in George Kirby. A lot of people are high on George Kirby. I don't see it why they would be so high on George Kirby, but I think Joe Kirby's a good starter, but whatever the fantasy rankings I saw were, I'll be like, what the hell? George Kirby? That high? What? Listen, their offense is solid. They have J-Rod. They're going to hit barrels for days. That's a good team. They're going to make the playoffs in my prediction. They're one of my wild cards. I like the Seattle team a lot. They're going to be making the playoffs. In second, I have the Houston Astros. Their rotation is young, dumb, and broke would be a horrible way to put it, but I'm going to say it anyway because they have young, dumb because they traded for Justin Verlander, and broke because of the Verlander contract. They are a young team in the rotation. You have guys like in the future like Hunter Brown, but you still have Valdez, Javier. They still have some good pieces in the rotation. We know what the bats look like. We know what they can bring to the table. We know your Altuves, your Kyle Tuckers, Alex Bregman, Jeremy Pena. They bring a lot to the table. But when you have a team that really is still pretty freaking good, you have to bank on them, right? And that's exactly what I'm doing with the Texas Rangers. I have them winning the American League West. It's just going to be a tight one again. But it's going to be a battle come down to, do the Rangers fall off? Does Houston ball out again? Can Seattle keep pace? There's all of these possibilities that can really affect this division. But I'm going to go on the path of Texas winning it narrowly over Houston. So my standings are in the American League West. I have the Rangers, and the Astros, Mariners, Angels, Athletics. So my playoff standings out of the American League, we have first place. I don't want to put Baltimore. I really don't. 1 seed Texas Rangers. I'm going to go with the Rangers from first, then Baltimore, and then Minnesota. Wildcard teams of Houston, the Yankees, and then Seattle. But Yankees-Seattle can be interchangeable. That would set up Yankees versus what? Yankees versus Houston first round. Oh my god. That would be fun. And then Seattle would play the Twins. Honestly, I wouldn't mind that, but that would be insanity. I'll give my World Series predictions later. So yeah, that is my American League. Let's talk National League. National League East, 5th Nationals. They don't have a lot of good players, competent players that play at this level. You have your New Rochelle native in Josiah Gray. You have Keibert Ruiz. You have Lane Thomas. There's a couple other players, I guess. But after those 4 or 5 good players, it's a complete fall off to a hodgepodge of players no one's ever heard of. That's what the Nationals are. And it's hard to say because you forget that this team won a championship half a decade ago. It's insane, the fall off of this team. But when you trade Scherzer, you lose Harper in free agency, etc., etc. It leads to something like this. You trade Juan Soto. It all comes down to something like this. And I have the Nationals in 5th. They just don't have a lot of good players. 4th, I have the Marlins. A couple people are not going to like this pick, but I have the Marlins in 4th. The reason I have the Marlins in 4th is very simple. They don't have the pitching to compete at this level. They don't have your star in Alcantara. They don't have enough. They do have some good pieces, but you can't bank on the type of season they have last year when you don't have a legitimate ace on that team. You need a guy like Alcantara, a bounce-back season from Alcantara, in order to contend in the National League East this year. I don't see them having one. So I'm going to have the Miami Marlins. Also, I don't like their offense other than Arias. They just don't really have another good piece. So I'm going to go with Miami in fourth. In third, I have the blue and orange, or the orange and blue. I don't know what you put them at this point. And that is the New York Mets. I have them in third. They have a lot of good offensive pieces. The pitching is so bad that it honestly could bump the Mets down to fourth. I do not like the rotation other than Kodai Senga. But Kodai Senga's hurt. So, I mean, your opening day starter was supposed to be Jose Quintana. Quintana opening day starter. I don't even know who it is now because I can't even watch the game tomorrow. So, shout out to my producer Mike Phillips is going to the game tomorrow or this week. I don't even know, but listen, it's insanity. And let me just see who the opening day starter is for this team. While I'm checking this absolute masterclass, hold on. I mean, you remember, this is my problem. The Mets signed Quintana, and now you could possibly be having him being your opening day starter. Your pitchers before this were Scherzer, Tyler McGill, Jacob deGrom 3 times, 18 Syndergaard, 17 Syndergaard, 16 Matt Harvey, 15 Bartolo Colon. We'll go all the way back to 2013. So then we had, who the hell is this? Oh, Dylan G. Oh my God. How did I forget about Dylan G? I'm an idiot. And then John Neese. That's the last 10. Now we're going to see, added to that amazing list, 35-year-old Jose Quintana. It's very possible that he gets shelled tomorrow. Or whenever the opening day is going to be now. It's a mess. Like, I don't know how good this team really is. They can be as good as second, but I don't see them as better than a Philadelphia or Atlanta. So I'm going to have them respectable middle of the pack position. Going to have them third. I do not have them making the playoffs. In second, I have Philadelphia. What a team this is. They added a good amount of pieces in the starting pitching, and they still have elite players in Harper. You still have elite pitching in Nola and Wheeler. You have another good offensive pieces, and guys like Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, who I'm banking on having a bounce-back season this year, just to name a few, Bryson Stott. Those are just names that come off the top of your head. Nice. And there's so many more players that you can actually name. Bounce-back season maybe from Alec Boehm or something like that. This team is good, but they're not good enough to make first. They're going to have their back end of the rotation ball out for them to have any form of a chance. But remember, they've proved in the last couple of years that the regular season, it's not really their strength. The postseason is where they come to play. And they've proved that over the last couple of years. But the last 2 years, and this Phillies team is good, but they ain't good enough to catch the Atlanta Braves. So I have one in the National League East. The Atlanta Braves are your juggernaut of the East. They are, I don't know. I was going to say the Mets of 2015, but that's a terrible reference. This team is so good. They have a lot of young pieces locked up. You mentioned your guys like Acuna, Matt Olson, Sean Murphy behind the dish, Austin Riley. Other pieces include Michael Harris II. Rotation is very sketchy. They traded for Sale. You have Max Fried. The rotation's the biggest question for them again. Of course, they also have Spencer Strider, who I don't see as good as advertised. He only throws like 3 pitches. Might be developing something new. We'll see. I'm intrigued to see how he looks. But listen, the Braves are winning this division. I have them. Then Philadelphia, the Mets, Miami, and Washington. The Central, 5th place Pittsburgh. They're not ready yet. They have some pieces that can develop, especially in the starting pitching department. Hopefully Paul Skeens makes it within the next 2 years, because I think he could be that dude, but once again, we don't know. Pirates are a hodgepodge of prospects and players who are going to be on the retirement list. They could be in retirement homes in a couple of years. Sorry, Andrew McCutcheon. I love Andrew McCutcheon. Shout out to my brother who used to love Andrew McCutcheon and still does. Pittsburgh in fifth. The Milwaukee Brewers are in fourth. They lost a lot again. They traded Corbin Burns for a bag of Dorito chips. And, well, I think I counted as that because they lost Corbin Burns. They brought back Brandon Woodruff, and now he's not going to pitch this season. There's opening day starter, I think, is Freddie Peralta, but I honestly don't know. They lost too much for me to consider them as a legitimate threat. I'm going to have them in fourth. In third, I have St. Louis. Bounce back from St. Louis, but they're not going to be as good. I would have them as max 82 and 80. They have some decent pieces in the rotation, but they're not going to be that good. Offense, they have Goldie and Arenado, but they lost a couple of good pieces. Apologies for that, viewers. This is the price of making this video late, and I'm already tired I had an interview this morning, if anyone cared. Hopefully I go to bed early so I can be good for my game tomorrow. But I do have the St. Louis Cardinals in third. Second place, I have Cincinnati. They are a good bunch. The starting pitching is what's going to worry me. They have a lot of good pieces on the offensive mark. But the pitching will always be the worry for them because they don't have enough legitimate pieces to get them over the top. And that's what's going to be the main problem for this team going forward. Is can pieces develop? Can pieces come out and play? They don't have Matt McLain for over half the season. What's he going to be like when he comes back? So, I don't have the Reds beating Chicago. It's standings-wise. They just don't have enough proven players. They could maybe make the playoffs, but with the way the West is, I just don't see it. So, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds in second. They're going to have a good season, but just not good enough. Because I have the Chicago Cubs in first. They have a ton of good players. They have a guy who you could have considered for the Cy Young last season, Justin Steele. They have other pieces in the rotation. They added Imanaga. Is that how you say it? Imonanga? I don't know. The player from Japan. They brought back Cody Bellinger. It's a lot of the same team from last year, and that team is good enough to win this division now for how much everyone collapsed. It's like the stock market from years ago, or like a decade or so ago. I don't remember when the last stock market crash is. I honestly don't remember it. But I do see it as that division being like a stock market crash, everyone just falling off a cliff. Followed by the Cubs soaring back up and going to win this division. So I have the Cubs top with Cincinnati, the St. Louis Cardinals, Milwaukee, and then the Pirates. The National League West gets a little bit interesting. This division's so tight that I don't think there is a really wrong answer other than fifth. And in fifth place, I have the Rockies. They have too much time to go till I can actually consider them to be a real baseball team, much like Oakland and a couple of others, like the White Sox and the Royals. Yikes. Dude, whatever. Colorado's just too far away, and I just don't see it happening. This pick, I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with. Fourth place, Padres. I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with me on this pick. But I just don't see them being that good. That rotation, they added Dylan Cease. Totally fine. They lost a couple of valuable pieces that will not really help them in return. They got Michael King. He's not going to do anything. I really thought Michael King could really be that useful for you. Yeah, as a bullpen arm, but not as a starter. I don't think he's going to do that much for you as a starter. They lost Josh Hader. They've lost other pieces on this team. They've lost too much. They try to rebound it by adding Dylan Cease, which I don't see as enough. I just don't see this team being that good. And they have Tatis. They have a bunch of other good pieces. Ha-Sung Kim, Cronenworth. They have a bunch of other pieces that I'm forgetting. And they could be good in in like a year or two. But right now, they didn't do enough to add to replace. to add or replace the guys they currently have. So I'm going to have the Padres in fourth. In third, I have Arizona. Another team that a little bit disappointing in the offseason. They added Jordan Montgomery a couple days ago, which is a good get, but he's not going to be ready, I don't think so, for a couple of weeks to be fully show his real impact. So I think that could possibly hurt the Diamondbacks early on in this season. The rotation, they have Zach Gallen. They have a good couple of pieces. Offensively, they're pretty all right, but this one team made a couple of really good moves that put them over the Diamondbacks, and that's the San Francisco Giants. They saved themselves from utter embarrassment. And, oh wow. Go watch March Madness, by the way. I'm breaking down March Madness on Tuesday. But listen, the Giants, they bring a lot to the table. Albeit they lost to the Padres today, but they have Logan Webb, who I really think is good. They have Jung-Ho Lee. They added guys like Jorge Soler, Matt Chapman. And of course, they added Blake Snell. They did more than advertised, and I'm going to have them barely over the Diamondbacks, and I do have them in the playoffs along with the Diamondbacks. And winning this division is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have Shohei Ohtani and whatever that betting scandal is from his translator, which I find very interesting. Dodgers player and involved in another possible scandal or controversy in a span of only a couple of years. It's weird to see that happen, but I mean, Shohei made the statement a couple days ago. The way his character is, I'm going to believe Ohtani for now, but listen, there's a very good possibility that maybe this does become true. I just don't know. We need more information before I can really make a decision or have real thoughts on that. I'm just waiting for more information to come down before I give a more in-depth thought on the Shohei Ohtani situation. But they have a great team. They extended Will Smith. Good for them. They have so many good players. Freeman, Betts. Rotation is loaded. The offense is loaded. This team is juiced. And they're going to win the West by 10 games at minimum. So in the West, I have the Dodgers, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, Padres, Rockies. Making the playoffs, first place Dodgers, second place Atlanta, third place Chicago. Then we're gonna go with Philly, the Giants, and then Arizona. So those are my standings. We're gonna go over the awards now. Let me know your awards predictions in the comments. MVP, National League first, because my American League one is controversial. National League MVP, I'm going to go with a repeat for Ronald Acuna. I think he is he is probably the most talented player in baseball other than Ohtani. He brings so much to the table. He can run, he can defend, and of course he can hit tanks, nukes, whatever you want to call it. He has so much power. He can hit for average. He does everything right. He can steal bases with ease. He can do whatever you need him to do. If he stays healthy, it's going to be Ronald Acuna. American League, I was pretty indecisive on this one, actually. I was down between two Yankees players and an Astro. I'm going to pick the Astro. I'm going to go with Yordan Alvarez, my AL MVP. I don't think it's a popular pick, but I like what Yordan brings to the table as a left-handed bat. He can hit lefty-lefty. He can hit the right-handed pitcher pretty well, too. He has to poke one out the left as an opposite field home run if he really wants to, but he doesn't really do that. Pull side hitter. He hits tanks. He really hits for power. He can't defend, which could really hurt him. But who plays defense? He's going to be a DH. I would list him as a DH. Or he's going to play left field. So he does have a good arm. He just doesn't run very well. So I see this as a possible bad pick. But for what he brings to you with the bat, I'm going to go with Yordan Alvarez. But my other people in consideration, of course, is going to be Judge and Soto. Judge, Soto, they can arguably both really compete for this thing this year. So I'm going to go with that. as my MVPs. Cy Young, American League, I'm going with Luis Castillo from the Seattle Mariners. I had a good amount of consideration for this pick, but I'm going to go with Castillo. Banking on him staying healthy all year, banking on him getting a ton of strikeouts, going deeper into games, getting better as the season goes on. If they want get into second, he's going to be one of the reasons. So I'm going to have Luis Castillo. National League, I was very hesitant with this pick, but I'm going to go with the guy who actually had a very bad start today. That's Logan Webb. I think Logan Webb, this is his true superstar moment. He had some flashes of brilliance, your years of brilliance, but I really felt like this was his time. So I'm going to go with Logan Webb. What he brings to the table pitch-wise, he's so good. He had one bad start. I think people might overreact to it a little bit. I'm going with Logan Webb. Rookie of the Year, I know I'm going through these a little bit, but I'm just trying to make this video not that long. Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Evan Carter from Texas. I know Wyatt Langford is a popular pick, but I'm going to go with Evan Carter just to be different. It's going to be a Rangers player. It just depends on which one. It's like the American League East last year, who possibly going to have the Rookie of the Year. Was it going to be Gunnar Henderson, or was it going to be Anthony Volpe? I got that one right last year with Gunnar Henderson. But National League is a little bit different. I'm going to go with a player from Asia, but not the one you're thinking of. Because I think this is going to be a guy who has a breakout season as well. That's Jung-Ho Lee from the San Francisco Giants. They needed an outfielder, and they went to Korea. I believe he's Korean, right? Please don't tell me I just messed this up. Because I think I may have messed it up. I might be thinking of somebody else. He is South Korean. I knew I had some ball knowledge in me. So, yeah, we're going to go with the South Korean in Jung-Ho Lee. You can do it with the bat. He got his first major league hit today. I'm going with Jung-Ho Lee. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a very popular pick, and it's very possible he wins it. But I feel like that pick's just too boring, and you guys wouldn't be intrigued enough to see Yoshinobu Yamamoto shove 5 innings, 6 innings, whatever, X amount of innings a night for once a week for a couple of months. I don't think you guys wanted me to talk about that. Also, just a quick note, I didn't know who to put for AL Comeback of the Year. Comment below who you would put for AL Comeback Player of the Year, because I didn't know who to pick. NL Comeback of the Year, I think is going to be. I had an obvious pick, but I don't know if it's that obvious. I'm going to go with Edwin Diaz after the injury from the WBC. The man with the trumpets, who I heard could have maybe a little bit change to the intro. Not the song, the trumpets will be heard in Citi Field in 2024. I'm excited to see him back on the field. I think this is the good pick here. I'm going to go with Edwin Diaz. I don't know like I said, I don't know who to put for the AL. Comment down below who you would put for AL Comeback Player of the Year. Manager of the Year, I'm going with A.J. Hinch from the Tigers. The Tigers are going to be relevant because they have some decent players and they have an experienced manager. A.J. Hinch, good manager, won a World Series, albeit with scandal involved. I don't think he was. Was he the main reason behind it? I don't know. But listen, I'm going to go with A.J. Hinch. And for the National League, I'm going to go with Craig Counsell from the Cubs. The Cubs, I think, are going to have a really good season this year, and it's going to be a lot of it due to an experienced manager like Craig Counsell, a guy who's better than David Ross. I'm going to go with Craig Counsell, a former Milwaukee Brewers manager, Craig Counsell. World Series pick. Now, I am tempted very much to put Texas in the World Series or Houston. They're going to be a year away, and this is going to really hurt Baltimore. I have Baltimore not making the World Series. My World Series prediction from the National League. I am going to go with the I'm not picking the Giants. Y'all would think I would pick the Giants, but I'm not picking the Giants. They do not have the depth to get themselves to the World Series. Playoffs, yeah, but not the World Series. The National League is tough. It's either Atlanta or the Dodgers. And I just feel like it's inevitable. I'm going to go with the Dodgers. Actually, no, they choke too much. I'm going to go with the Braves. Screw it. We're going to go with the young, high-flying Atlanta Braves, who are going to make a starting pitching trade at the deadline. And I honestly see them paying for trading for Shane Bieber. It's a very big possibility as well. Or Tristan McKenzie or whoever they would want to trade for. This Braves team is really good. I have them making the World Series. They're going to go up against... the American League's tough. Do I go with Texas, Houston, or Seattle? Now, Seattle is a weird one. Houston's too young in the rotation, but they have a good amount of experience with the bats. I have them making the ALCS, possibly, but Texas, it's too bland. Baltimore, not the Yankees or the Twins. I don't know. What do we think of Baltimore just doesn't have the pitching for it. This is really tough, actually. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to have a 6 seed make the World Series. Shut up. I'm going to do it. I'm going to have on this channel. This is going to be really, really bad. I have Atlanta winning the World Series over the Seattle Mariners. I'm going to do it. I'm going to write it down on my notes. I'm going to do it. There you go. Done. Atlanta over Seattle. They're going to have an interesting path. They're going to have to beat probably... I would say if they were a 6 seed, they would have to beat Minnesota, which I think they would beat the Twins. They would probably then play 2-seeded. The 2 seed would be, in my predictions, to be Baltimore. I think they would have beat this Baltimore team because they just don't have the pitching to go far enough. They have Corbin Burns. Cool. Who else in that rotation? Not confident enough in it yet. So my World Series, I'm going to have the Atlanta Braves over a streaky, down the stretch, Seattle Mariners team. So those are all my MLB season predictions. Enjoy the 2024 MLB season, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be fun. That's all I know. And on that note, that'll be the end of today's episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like what you see, hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out, the ESPN broadcast would have happened already, so make sure to follow my Instagram so you don't miss out when I'm going back on ESPN. And on that note, I'm Robbie Basel saying good night. Happy Easter, everybody. I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye, everyone.